Hello everyone, welcome back to another exciting review. We are of course Guapish at the Disco, and we are reviewing the 2019 Imperial Circus Decadence album that I picked. That being Kuru, oshiku, Saita, Seisan no Mukuro, wakanade, ito oshiku, Saita, shoujo, wa Seisan uta wa utao. Quite a mouthful. This is, of course, the second published album from the band Imperial Circus Decadence, which I'm just going to refer to as ICDD from now on, for brevity. We listened to the 2019 variant. It initially came out in 2011. I don't know if there's a fucking difference. I'm assuming this is like a more like mastered version, like the high quality version of the album, but I don't fucking know, to be honest. I didn't go out of my way to listen to the older one to like notice differences or not. But yeah, that's basically the rundown. I wanted to initially read all the lyrics for these songs and then kind of describe the story that they're trying to tell, because a big part of this band, with their album specifically, is they like to tell stories through their music. And this album specifically is pretty well known for the fact that they have, you know, like an ongoing story that's present throughout the entire album, presented in, you know, music, which I think is interesting. I could not find fucking lyrics for any song except for Uta. I found the lyrics for Uta on some random video, and when I read that one, sounds like there's some fucking war or some shit going on in some like made up land they've created, I guess. I don't know. I'm hazy on the plot here, but yeah, couldn't really find anything. There's some other random songs that had like Spanish subtitles, but you could not fucking pay me to go line by line and translate, like type out the Spanish from the fucking video into an editor and figure out what it means in English. Not gonna do that shit. So I didn't, because I'm lazy. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna start off. I'm gonna put the ball in Tanichi's court. You're not the metal fan here. This is, of course, a metal album. It's got a lot of genres. It's got, you know, doujin metal, melodic metal, death metal, deathcore, all sorts of shit. What was your overall thoughts on this album, Tanichi?
Yes, hi, I'm Tanichi. You didn't introduce us.
Dude, because we're the same fuckers every time. Why do you need to introduce you? Yeah, it's Tanichi, and we got Tanner here, and I'm Jackson. Go on.
It just feels right. It feels, I don't know. Yeah, I ran into the same issue with the lyrics, but with Uta, it gave me Coheed and Cambria vibes, because they have like a similar thing where just randomly as fuck they'll throw in like some shit about a universe they created in wars.
They're talking about like they had fucking like random ass names, like some fucking random country name or something, or some like random bad guy they were trying to beat or some shit.
Yeah, the intro to one of their albums, because what they used to do was name their albums after, so you know which ones followed the story, and then just to open an album that didn't follow that rhyming pattern, it was a long story about how one of the previous characters in the universe died and he's his son, and then surprise, it was an album about the universe. I don't know, that just reminded me of it, and I thought it was funny. Other than that, I noticed a Deftones reference with one of the screams, and I liked it.
A Deftones reference, or is Deftones referencing ICDD? How long has Deftones been around?
Deftones been around for fucking ever. They're also like...
Oh, damn, 1988? For some reason, I thought they were like a more recent thing. I guess maybe that's just because they had some more popular songs recently.
No, see, that's the problem. They've gone on to revolutionize, like, that themselves, the sound, and the scene several times, that it's like, fuck, Deftones are back. Sick.
I always get Deftones confused with Depeche Mode, which doesn't make any sense and also really makes me not understand what Deftones is.
Deftones is like a metal band that's been around forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like the Green Day of metal, which, if anyone's watching this, they're gonna abuse me for saying that.
I don't even know what the fuck that would mean.
To me, when I hear they're like the Green Day of metal, my brain jumps to, oh, so they're embarrassing.
They're like a popular punk metal band? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's a big tangent, because Green Day was once fucking amazing and inspirational. and then they just stuck around a little too long. And you can kind of say the same thing about Deftones, except again, they've had so many times where they've done something and it's been like, fuck, that's incredible. Here, well, they're back. That it's kind of like, fuck, unfortunate, but they're Deftones. Like, you just gotta love them. You just gotta, they're part of it. Like, and it's part of it. They're part of it so deep that they're referenced. I forgot which track it is because I don't have my notes in front of me, but it was one of the screams, and it was, I know it because I know the, like, Deftones got really popular for a really hard scream in a song. One of their artists did the scream for, like,
please reenact it for us.
Oh. No, I can't do it. But it's
I'll
really...
be honest, dude. It is possible that this scream you're mentioning originates with Deftones. I personally kind of doubt it, and it is probably just something that has been adopted into the wider metal culture, and everyone just kind of does it.
Yeah, could be. I could be misremembering it, but Deftones are so old. Yeah, Deftones are so old that that could happen. Like, oops, but I'm also not too far off. Like, maybe, but if that's not a reference, then damn, that was a really cool scream on that track. It happened for a long time, and it reminded me of a Deftones scream. Like, I still give them compliments for that. I still like that in the track. Other than that, I like the overall presentation. It's long.
It's shorter than the Chance album.
Yeah, it is. It's shorter than the Chance album, but it's better than the Chance album, definitely.
I'm glad you think that. I would be really sad if you thought this was worse than A Big Day. I would immediately be like, okay, so you're not gonna like any metal.
No, I like metal. I'm not a big fan of Screamo. Not that I don't like it or that I do like it. I'm kind of like in the middle ground with it. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, it definitely has lots of screaming in this album. Tanner said it well when he described his opinion on Screamo, that being it's very, song by song. If they do it well, then it's fine. It's not that he inherently likes or dislikes, and I would agree with that. I think that screaming is a good way of really just expressing a very raw emotion, and obviously you can contribute that a lot to metal songs because a lot of these have very dark, like emotional themes to them, and I think the screaming is very well done in this specifically. There are some very raw sounding fucking screams, and I wasn't really annoyed by it at all, so that's good. I will say too, I guess this segues with the screaming, is the vocal range of the main singer is fucking insane. Holy shit, this guy has like every type of singing you could do. He does like regular singing, he does like fucking crazy screams, he does like super low growls, and he transitions between them very quickly. Super impressive shit. And of course we have the female vocalist as well that did a great job harmonizing with him in various spots. But yeah, the dude killed it on the vocals in this album. Have to say, hats off.
I agree.
All right, sounds like Tanichi's done talking about it. Tara, how about you? What were your overall thoughts on the album, I guess?
Dude, it's kind of tough to think about it. My overall thought is that pretty much all of these songs here I really liked on their own, but I don't think they make that good of like an album listening experience.
Interesting. Honestly, I feel the exact opposite, so I'm curious as to why you think that.
It could be because part of it could be because I don't understand the language, and so like the content of the lyrics I'm not really getting from the songs, and so for me, like as I'm listening through it's not insanely samey, but it's the same band and it's all on the same album. So like there's running themes and things they're doing from song to song. And so by the time I get like halfway through the album, I'm like, okay, I kind of get the shtick. I'm ready to be done. But if I just put on any of the songs, like just on their own, I'm like, oh yeah, I really fuck with this song. And so I think, I don't know how to score that though, where I'm like, yeah, I fuck with all the songs if I were to just listen to them in a vacuum, but I don't actually enjoy the actual album experience, you know?
I will agree and disagree with you on that in several ways. So I guess initially I'll just say I agree in some ways, in the sense that they do have a very set style, especially like halfway, I'd say, through the album. Like in like the 2 songs before Uta, for example, like the big piece of the album, definitely felt a little bit more samey than some of the initial songs they had. And like fucking Gekai and Joshin were fucking sick, Roretta. All of these names don't mean anything. They're all in fucking, Romanji, so I don't think you guys even know what the fuck I'm talking about when I say them. But,
I wrote them down the same way, where I just wrote down the first name word.
Based. I definitely think that, like Tanner said, in a vacuum, all of these songs are pretty fucking sick. Especially some of the earlier ones I definitely preferred more than some of the middle ones. Like Haishita and Koku, I wasn't like crazy about, but I still liked them. But they definitely feel pretty samey, and it definitely gets a little... like, it's like a stamina problem almost. So it's like the halfway you get to this album, it like does make it like a little hard to keep going through. But also, Tanner, you brought up they use different parts of the album. Honestly, I like where they use like different like running themes, I guess. They use a lot of like motifs in it. They have like the same like vocal lines and stuff, which I think is cool. I think it makes it a very immersive feeling album listening, because you'll be listening to like Gekai, and like in some of like one of like the slower melodic sections, they'll do the fucking lyrics that you'll hear in a more like upbeat section of Uta, which I think is cool as fuck. There's a lot of like connection you can make to different songs in that way, which I think is very cool. I think it's fun as fuck. Which I think it makes it a very immersive, like I said, listening experience overall. I definitely think the album would benefit if I understood a word they were saying, obviously, because like I said, they're trying to tell a story here, and it's hard to be invested, I guess, for like the long term if you don't know what the fuck they're saying or what the story's about. And it's hard to give it credit, I guess, for going for that if I don't actually know what they're going for. It really does just seem like a bunch of unrelated songs for the most part. Yeah, that's my thoughts to Tanner's thoughts. How exciting.
Yeah, and then I really enjoyed like listening through these songs, and I like the way they play with like different genres of metal. It's pretty all over the place. They got like symphonic, power metal, death metal. They kind of default to death metal more often than not. They got some power metal, some thrash in here, I'd even say, which I found pretty interesting. Let me do my favorite and least favorite song. How about? Dude,
can I guess what your favorite song is?
Sure.
I'm going to get this wrong. I think your favorite song was Syankunetsu.
Syankunetsu. No.
Damn. Okay, go on.
My favorite was Joshin, the third track on the album. I just thought that one was sick. I think that one is the most like straightforwardly death metal of all the songs on the album. And then do you want to try guessing my least favorite?
I'm assuming you're not counting like the intro track and then the lead up to Zenkoku.
Yeah, no, I'm not counting either of those.
Is it Zenkoku?
It is Zenkoku.
That song is so fucking weird. I think I'm just gonna go ahead. That's also my least favorite track. I'm gonna explain now why, and you're probably gonna give the exact same reason.
That's also my least favorite track.
I don't say I would dislike that song. I think it is easily the lowest scoring of it, but I still enjoy it. It just has some very weird structure to it. Some of the lyrics are very strange. There's like the weird like harsh guitar thing they're doing a lot, especially like near the end. It just seems super messy, and obviously I would assume there's a reason for that, maybe in the lyrics somehow. Especially, I think the fucking build-up from Katari into Zenkoku was cool as fuck. I thought that shit was super sick, especially just the intro of that song. But yeah, there's a lot of weird, strange noises. It's not a very pleasant listening experience, I would say, in some regards. I still enjoyed it, but like, yeah, it's a very weird one.
I never considered that the lyrics could be explaining how weird it was. I just thought it was a weird fucking track.
It is a weird track. There's a lot of weird tracks in this.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. Around the halfway point on Zenkoku is when it really starts, I assume they're doing something to symbolize something, but since I don't know what's going on, I'm just like man, this is just messy. we're not even doing anything right now.
Yeah, the fucking do you like the last fourth of it when they have like the talking going on with the like the instrumentals in the background too, layered
Not
that
really.
way? Okay, I like that part honestly. I don't know if I like the like very ending like bit thing they did, but curious. I guess I'll go to my favorite and least favorite. You already know my least favorite. My favorite is Uta, which to a lot of ICDD people that shouldn't be surprising. Fun fact, Uta is actually the song that got me into ICDD. It is a super big song in the OS scene. It is just like some super hard map, as you'd probably expect it to be. It's a 9-minute long death metal song. That shit goes fucking, it's super hard, it's super intense. I even went and played it earlier today just to really relive those memories, and I got my ass kicked as you'd expect of itself too. Yeah, big fan of Uta. It just feels like such a cinematic piece of music. Like, it really just feels like it takes you through like a whole story arc, and it's super fucking cool. It's like one of those songs that like you can't help but just imagine what's going on in your head while you're listening to it. Yeah, I've been listening to Uta for a very long time. Like, I'm talking like fucking 8 years I've been listening to Uta at this point, and it still has not gotten bored to me. I fucking love that song still. Probably I wouldn't be shocked if I put it in my top 10 songs of all time, to be honest. It's easily my favorite metal song, I would say.
Whoa. I'm gonna be honest, dude. I'm pretty sure Uta is power metal, not death metal.
They've got some death metal parts in it, but yeah, I would agree it's probably not entirely that. I'm just saying that as like a generic fucking, it's some metal shit. It was the first genre of metal that came to my mind. I don't listen to a lot of metal. I'm sure once I'm experienced more, like I really just have listened to a lot of stuff from the Japanese scene, given that's mostly what gets mapped in OS. So yeah, I'm sure I'll branch out later on, but yeah, I don't really know a ton about metal right now, I would say. There's like 3 artists maybe that I listen to that are metal. Yeah, Tanichi, what are your favorite and least favorite?
My least favorite was the one we all agreed on, the fucking weird one. I just didn't like it. Just flat out, I didn't like it. I actually liked, I think it was, I don't remember.
Damn.
I don't remember.
You should have wrote things down.
I did. I'm gonna grab my iPad.
You don't have it ready?
No, I only booted up Audacity. I'm really goofy.
That's funny. Tanner, cut this
I was
out.
bragging about how ready I was before this as well.
That's crazy.
I've made fathering.
I'm going to fucking beat you.
No. Oh, my favorite was... I have it written here. My favorite was Uda. I don't know why.
You don't know why?
Yeah. It says here, I liked Uda because it has a lot of parts, and it was the longest one. And when we were playing Counter-Strike and listening to it, it fit well with the scene. And then on my re-listen, I wrote, I still really like this track for some reason.
For some reason. Can't put your finger on it. Honestly,
I can't put my finger on it. It might have been the Counter-Strike game. I just have residual feelings for it.
I will say, honestly, connecting music to things you're doing is such an easy way to connect with a piece, and I think that's generally just something you could say about art as, a whole. Like, me playing OS, there are so many random ass songs that probably sound like objective dumb fucking noise to a lot of people, but because I'm associating them with the actions I'm doing in OS, it makes me connect with a lot more and start liking them. Like, there's a lot of genres that I don't think I would have any interest in outside of playing OS, just because like you get caught up in the intensity of it, for example, and I'm sure something like that happened with you similarly with Counter-Strike. Maybe it was something relevant going on with the game. You have that shit going on in the background, and then your brain just kind of like connects those like cool moments together. And yeah, that also certainly helps with my opinion on this album as well. Generally, I think this album's fucking awesome because I have played all of these songs in OS a billion times, and I have strong connections with a lot of them.
What are some of your strong connections?
Just playing the fucking maps, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it really goes a crazy amount deeper than that. It's just the maps are fun to play. It's a cool song you've got going in the background. You just feel like a fucking badass when you're doing them. Even if you're like eating shit on the map, you're still doing it, and it feels cool as fuck. Like if they're going crazy, screaming in the background, you're hitting a 6th stream. You just feel like a fucking number 1 player, even though I've got like 75% accuracy on it or some shit. All right. Okay. I guess I'm just gonna run down I've got a list of talking points for this album. I guess I'm just gonna fucking go through them, and you guys can interject if you have things to add to it, I suppose. Their producer and vocalist, Yuki, the guy that I was commenting earlier about the screams, he also does porn. How exciting! He does all the album art for their albums. And yeah, he also draws porn, which is pretty sick. I have never seen any of it. I probably should have read some, maybe give a little review of his porn before I went into it, but legitimately I just couldn't find any, so I'll figure that out next time. A lot of songs, we wouldn't know this because we don't speak Japanese, but they do actually use a made-up language a decent amount in their songs. I didn't notice this, to be honest. I'm just taking people's word for it. No, I noticed technically because, in Uda, for example, they'll have sections where it's not in, Japanese, but they have, lyrics, I guess, that maybe somebody else transcribed, the band themselves wrote out for what it means. And they've got that a few times in some random songs, but yeah, I never fucking noticed. The motifs thing, I already talked about that. One thing I do like that they did with two songs here, Densyo and Katari, is that they basically, a lot of songs will have a really slow build up to really picking up pace, and I think Zenkoku demonstrates this best. Well, honestly, both of them demonstrate it very well, where basically they'll have a really long intro section, and then they'll cut to the real intense shit, and I think it makes for an interesting album experience in the sense that you get more of an intro to it, especially the first song, Danceo, really feels like the intro to this world they're taking you into kind of thing. And they also don't waste your time with that. If you like Gakkai, you probably don't want to listen to Danceo every single fucking time you want to listen to it. So they split it up into two tracks so that you can just get right into the action of Gakkai immediately if you want to. And it's the exact same thing with Zenkoku. It just goes right into that buildup of intensity, which I'm a big fan of. Some might not like splitting it up like that. I'm a big fan of it though, personally, just because it makes repeat listens to those specific songs a lot better, personally. And I've never really seen any other artists do that. I'm assuming it's a pretty common thing. I just haven't seen it yet because I'm not super deep into the music sphere.
That sounds unique to me.
Well, there we go. Another fun fact, ICDD is actually pretty fucking popular in the Japanese metal scene. And I specifically say Japanese metal scene. They're basically completely unknown out of Japan, which is pretty sad, I think. I definitely wish they had a bit more international recognition. They mostly got their recognition from OS, sadly. And I say sadly specifically just because OS has a featured artist program where artists can, partner with OS and they can get their songs officially licensed for the game so that people can use them to create maps. And, this just makes it so you don't have to worry about legality of, companies taking down songs on OS, for example, because they're not officially licensed otherwise. And unfortunately, people were fucking hounding somebody in ICDD to get their songs on OS as a featured artist, and they fucking just eventually just gave up and just gave in and just did it because they were just getting annoyed and harassed so fucking much to do it. And I think that's sad, especially because a lot of their international success is because of OS. I just think it's kind of fucked up, but it is what it is. There we go. That's all my notes. All of them we had already covered. How exciting. Everything else, I guess, is just a bunch of specific things about all the songs, I guess. One of the songs, I think the last one, was very interesting. The fucking intro to him screaming literally sounded like he was gonna throw up, and then it transitions from a throwing up kind of sound into him screaming. I think that shit's kind of cool. That shit was kind of badass. Any other thoughts? Any talkers in the...
I didn't like the throw up part because I'm not a fan of throw up.
I mean, I'm not either. I thought it was interesting and it worked.
I was gonna say, Eminem did a song, Puke, where he opens the track by throwing up, and that's the first thing that came to my mind was, damn, I hate these two songs because of this one reason. That's crazy. Also, something just came to mind. He said he doesn't know how to grade it. I think you could grade it on if, although it's not an enjoyable listening experience. You think
that's being a bit dramatic?
Yeah, he said he liked every song. It's just...
Is that not what you said? Oh. No, not really. I mean, I did say that, I think it's better, listening to the songs individually than it is, listening to all of them in a row. I'm not saying I think the album is bad. I just think that
Oh no.
like
yeah.
I get a bit bored by the end, but I'm not saying it's like bad or nothing.
You just ruined Tanichi's day. I was about to give this shit a fucking 2 out of 10. You thought he had a brother in arms.
No, I don't think it's a 2 out of 10 either. No, but it totally does just throw away what I was gonna say.
That's
So
fine.
no, I don't have any points. Womp womp.
I guess this is a question I just have for you in general, Tanner. How do you normally rank these albums? Because this actually is something I haven't really talked about. But like this, obviously we're reviewing albums here, but I feel like a lot of our discussion is mostly just about individual songs for the most part.
Yeah.
Outside of like the Library of Babel, for example, which we're very in the weeds of it as like a piece of art and an interconnected story they're telling. Just like as a whole, are we generally rating this as an experience of an album in general, or are you guys like more leaning towards like just averaging the score from your songs, do you think?
What I have been doing typically is averaging the scores from the song and then moving it up or down from there based on how good I think it works as an album listening experience. Like I can say the score I'm going to be given for this one is a bit lower than the actual average of the songs specifically because I don't think they make a great like album experience.
Okay, that's fair. That's pretty similar to what I would do, I'd say, except I probably lean a little bit more towards the bias of the general listening experience of the album overall than the just songs, because, you know, I can like a lot of songs from an album, but I also don't want to knock it down entirely if there's like a couple of stinkers, for example, that drag it down for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How about you, Tanichi?
Pretty much the same, except I like to consider the artistic merit of the song. Like I think I did this with the Library of Babel. How I said like even some of the like it makes a bad album to mix the songs up out of order. But the artistic value of realizing in a song that he mentions the albums are out of order is really creative. So I gave it like a higher score because of that. I like take things like that into consideration. Like I'm not gonna lie, because I thought it was a Deftone reference, I gave it a little bit of a higher point.
Based? We take points where we can get them?
Yeah, I agree. I try to be more favorable towards it because it is a piece of music sometimes.
Okay. Do we have any other real thoughts, I guess?
No, sir.
Okay. I guess generally closing thoughts for me. Unsurprisingly, I like this album a lot. It was on my list for a reason. I do think it's funny. This is the second album I picked just from a random chance. Big fan that this one got picked. I think it's an interesting one. They do a lot of creative things with different genres. I think it's a very unique listening experience because of that. A lot of the songs feel very different from each other. Though, like I said at the end, just their general style can get a little old on you just listening to their music, you know, fucking for an hour straight, basically. But I don't take that as like a crazy criticism because, like Tanner said again, I agree with this. In a vacuum, all these songs are pretty fucking solid. And because of that, I don't really take that much credence to that criticism, I guess, in general. And I think it's a cool, artistic piece of music, and I'm a fan of it. And I also think their whole shtick is pretty funny. You guys should check out their website. It's a fun time. The link is it's just icddecadence.com. And you guys can check out their funny names like the Fourth Menace or like the Drunkard, the Fourth Menace or some shit. And they got some funny ass names. The fucking singer calls himself the Prophet. You know, they really dig into it. That kind of reminds me too. I think that's probably just a metal thing in general. But like another band that does that, which I think is pretty funny, is Yosei Keiku, and they're like the Fairy Kingdom or some shit. The main female vocalist is like the Fairy Queen, and everyone else is their subjects, and they're like really lean into the fact like they're like an evil supervillain society or something, and everyone's villains and shit, and it's funny. I think it's funny that Japanese bands do that a lot. I'm sure that's just a more global thing that I'm just not aware of, but I think it's cool.
I was gonna mention that it's not just a Japanese thing. It's a fucking rock rap band called Hollywood Undead that like their website reminds me of Hollywood Undead website. I should link it in the fucking group chat like you did the other one. Like side by side, you can kind of like see. It's not just them. It's like I don't know. I feel like it's a rock thing to have a shitty website.
Dude, their website is so fucking funny. They just have like a full banner of like a picture of them. Like that's you don't do that on websites, man. It's terrible UI, but you know what? There's some fucking edgy metal band, so I fuck with it. I want to buy some merch from them, but it's such a hassle. You have to like go through a fucking courier service because they don't ship anything internationally, as you'd kind of expect.
Oh gosh,
dude, you should start drop shipping ICDD merch.
You'd make a fucking killing.
Yeah, buy like 100 shirts and sell them on eBay for like double the price. I think we've got some money on our hands here, guys. This is gonna be the Guapish side hustle,
right?
Some new shit we're selling on the Guapish fucking Teespring website.
Join the Discord if you want to fund our business.
Please join our Patreon in 100 separate accounts so I can buy one shirt because they're so expensive. Holy fuck! Why are they so expensive?
Oh my god.
Anyways, I guess let's get on to the ranks then. Sounds like we're pretty much wrapped up here.
Yes, sir.
Personally, I guess let's start from the bottom to the top here. I assume Tanichi's going to rank this the lowest. What are you putting it at?
Really? That's crazy. I thought this album was like a 6.
Why are you surprised that I think you're going to be rating it the lowest?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't know.
This is so you need some introspection here, Tanichi.
I do.
Tanner, what'd you give it?
Dude, funnily enough, I also gave it a 6.
You guys are absolutely manic for that. Personally, I gave it an 8. I was really debating giving it a 9 because I do really like a lot of these songs, but after listening to it like 4 times in the last week, getting to like that 75% through the album point definitely starts to get a little grating over time. And I certainly do like listening to basically all these songs. I wouldn't say I dislike really any of them. Zankoku, pretty weird, but I would say generally I still like the song and I'd listen to it out on its own. Yeah, and I guess that puts it at a 6.7 out of 10. It is our second highest rated album. How exciting. Personally, Tanner, I honestly thought you'd like this one more. Oh well.
Womp womp. Yeah, again, like, the massive asterisk on this is me not speaking Japanese.
I agree.
Because in addition to, like, the album feeling like a bit of a slog by the end, having 2 like narration tracks where it's just like them setting up a story and not doing music really detracts for me, but obviously that's my own problem since I can't speak Japanese.
Why didn't you say that in the review, you son of a bitch?
I thought it was kind of covered by my other comments.
Also, I mean, technically he is.
This is just a running theme with if he doesn't understand it. Granted, honestly, I would say I probably would have given this shit a 9 out of 10. I do like this album a lot, but of course I don't speak the language like Tanner. If I knew what the story was, like if I could find consistent lyrics and like a breakdown of what the story was, I probably would rate this a 9 out of 10 just for like the artistic merit of doing that. I think it's interesting. But alas, I couldn't fucking find it, try as I might, and I get an 8 out of 10 because of that. 6.7 is...
Where does this album rank in your top 10 albums?
We've only ranked 5 albums, Tanichi, so currently
no, I just mean your personally.
I don't fucking know. I've never really thought about ranking music prior to doing this, so it's impossible to say.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I like music. I don't know if I could conjure up a top 10. I'd have to really think about that for quite some time. I'm definitely the type of guy that just like likes a song and I toss it in my fucking 1,000 song playlist. I don't really think too much harder about it than that.
And then you just put the playlist on shuffle?
Yeah.
That's sick.
And then if I get to a part in the playlist where I don't like a song, I add that to a separate playlist called Used to Like so that I remember that it was previously in my liked playlist, but now it's not. And then I remove it.
Music Russian roulette.
Dude, I should do a Used to Like playlist.
I think it's fun. It's like a little throwback. Yeah. Every once in a while I'll go and like shuffle that Used to Like playlist because like obviously at some point I added it to the main playlist. So at some point I thought there was value in it. And maybe I just stopped liking it because I listened to it a lot of times. So I added it to the playlist because of that. But other times, you know, it is just like a bad song. I'm like, why the fuck was this ever in my playlist? So I think it's fun to go back there. It's like a little nostalgia trip. That's why I do it. Anyways, Tanner, it is your week, and by week I mean it is your turn, I guess, because it's not necessarily weekly, to pick an album. What are you choosing?
Dude, before I make my choice, brief aside, is it crazy if, to me, it feels like I'm choosing albums more often than movies, even though I'm objectively not?
Yeah, you're weird for that.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Anyway.
I mean, even if we're looking at it like we review an album once a week, which we're not, that puts you at once every 3 weeks, which is lower than average for how often you're picking a movie at once every 2 weeks.
I know, but for some reason it feels more often to me.
Yeah, you're watching the movie once.
It feels like well, we definitely get a lot more exposure with these albums than we do with the songs. We get more, or with the movies, we get more connection to them. But yeah, I certainly feel like I never get to pick a fucking album. Holy shit. Feels like I was waiting 1,000 years to pick my second one.
Fair enough. Anyway, I decided, much like last time where I decided to follow up Tanichi's rap pick with a rap pick, I'm going to follow up Jackson's metal pick with a metal pick. I'm going to be picking the 2017 album Kven by Holkoff.
Okay.
Yes, please write that down. Please write that down. I'll never find it otherwise. Well, if you guys also want to pick an album for us to review, then kick rocks, because we don't support that. But if you want to support us on Patreon anyways, you can go to guapish.com/Patreon and do so. We appreciate it. Till next time on our next review, where we review Holkoff by Kven.
Turn it around.
That guy. We're reviewing Kven by Holkoff. I'm trying my best here. Anyways, that's the outro. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.